Hello, thought I'd trial a different time of day today. It's just Patrick here coming to you live from Complete Health, just finishing in the clinic and just tidying up a few bits and finishing off the paperwork for the day. But I wanted to talk about something that happens quite a lot and hopefully you guys are not doing it now, but is really common to see, with a lot of my patients, and that is something called burnout. Now, burnout can manifest in a number of different ways, but generally, as a rule of thumb, it's that really heavy fatigue, exhausted, not feeling in line with what it is that you feel like you should be doing. So some of the key things that I see with people that burn out or become exhausted, and what it starts to actually do is it starts to have a huge detrimental effect on our lives. And actually when we burn out, we end up causing stress, and we live in a part of our nerve system. We fire up a part of our nerve system called the sympathetic nerve system. And this is the bit that actually is linked to stress. Now, some of the key things that I see with people that are not taking care of themselves, or where I see burnout or things that are physically exhausting, are people are trying to do too much. Simple, easy. Number one, trying to do things or more things than your day has got the capabilities of doing. E.g., trying to run the kids to school, trying to do X, trying to do Y, do LMNOP, all at the same time is physically going to be impossible if you do not have the hours in the day. Now, another thing that I see massively with burnout is doing something that you do not want to do. So there is a term that I have for this, and it is called Shudism. We should on ourselves, we should all over the place. And the reason why this is a massive issue is that you tell yourself you should be doing something, but you don't want to. So e.g., like going to a job that you really do not enjoy. Now, it's going to be much harder to go and turn up every single day and create energy and be present with people and do something and actually be aware and your body feel good if you really hate the thing that you're actually doing. So it's a massive thing that I see, and it's probably one of the number one reasons that I see burnout in patients is that they're trying to do stuff, or they're feeling obliged to do things that they physically do not want to do. And by the way, this is maybe not the most physically draining, but it's definitely going to be that most mentally draining thing. Stuff like checking your emails, trying to stay on top of paperwork. Look, the thing is, if you really don't want to do it, but it has to be done, you can find and delegate someone to do that thing. So Shudism is one of the biggest things, or I have to go and see. You don't have to do anything that you physically don't want to. You just have to create a way that you can get around it. And if it has to be done, it has to be done. It's better to be done if it's done by you or someone else, so long as it's done. If it has to be done, it has to be done. No one should have to do anything. So that's one of my key things that I see with burnout, is people should all over themselves and they make themselves do things that they don't want to do. One of the other things is they physically try to do is they do not take care of themselves physically. So by the way, you are what you eat, and you feel by how much you move. If we are not moving enough and we're eating the wrong fuels, guess what? Your body is going to feel rubbish. A car that is driving and it's a petrol and you put diesel in it, is it going to break down? Absolutely yes. And the main reason being is that is the wrong fuel in the car. Now, if we're not fueling our body and we're not taking our body out for adequate levels of movement, it's very much like the car. Again, it's going to rust, or it's not going to start, and it's going to burn out. Now, one of the other things that I see is people do not take enough time for themselves to do something they actually enjoy doing. So some of the evening, this is a very different time for me doing these things, because I normally do these things first in the morning. So it's actually quite nice to see a couple of other familiar faces on here still. So by not actually doing things that actually take care of our body. So exercising and making sure we got a diet. Now, the final one is making sure we take enough adequate time to rest, recover, and recuperate. If you're working long weeks, you should not be spending the seventh day of the week catching up with all of the work that you should have been doing when you're at work. And again, by the way, that goes into that delegation, that if it has to be done, it doesn't matter whether it gets done by you or someone else. If it's going to burn you out, don't keep doing it just because you feel like you should or have to. You still have to take a relative level of rest and recuperation. And again, this is the same thing with a lot of our athletes, is that they want to train really, really hard to make sure that they're actually achieving their targets. But actually at the same time, the level of rest gives you that ability to make sure that when you go back again the next time, you can still perform. Guys, do not burn yourselves out. I know that this is one of the key things I see. This is one of the reasons why we see so much stress in patients, is they're trying to chew off more than they can do. So again, make sure you get adequate rest. Make sure you're exercising enough. Make sure, hello, good evening. Make sure that we're actually getting the right fuels into our body. Make sure we're shooting all over ourselves. You do not have to do anything if you do not want to. Make sure you're doing things that you enjoy. Doing stuff that you really do not enjoy doing is much more likely to burn you out. By the way, I hate doing my taxes. Guess what? I do not do them. I delegate them because I hate running through receipts. I put them in a big box, I barely put them in order, and I send them off to my accountant. So they charge me more for it, but I tell you what, it takes so much more energy for me to do it than it is worth me paying someone else to do it for me. So guys, make sure you're looking after yourselves, make sure you're not burning yourself out. If you need any advice on how to reduce burnout, give us a shout. We're here to help you. Until tomorrow, take care.